Hallelujah. Amen. I am honored and elated to be here tonight. Thankful for all of you who are here on tonight. Amen. I'm grateful for all of you. Amen. Grateful for all of you being here. Amen. Thank God for His Spirit being in this place tonight. Come on, real quick. Just lift your hands in this room. Come on, just lift your hands. Hallelujah. Listen to verse number 13. Genesis 32. Verse 13. If you're there, shout out there. Y'all bring the music down a little bit. So he spent the night there. Then he selected from what he had with him a present for his brother Esau, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 lambs, 30 milking camels and their coats, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 male donkeys. He delivered them into the hands of his servant, every drove by itself, and said to his servant, pass on before me and put a space between droves. Command the one in front, saying, when my brother Esau meets you and asks you, saying, to whom do you belong and where are you going? And to whom do these animals in front of you belong? Then you shall say, these belong to your servant Jacob. It is a present sent to my lord Esau, and behold, he also is behind us. Then he commanded also the second and the third, and all of those who followed them who followed the droves, saying, after this manner you shall speak to Esau when you find him. And you shall say, behold, your servant Jacob also is behind us. For he said, I will appease him. We talked about that last week. Hang your hat right there. I will appease him with the present that goes before me. Then afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. So the present passed on before him while he himself spent the night in the camp. And he arose that same night and took his 2 wives and his 2 maids and his 11 children and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and he sent them across the stream, and he sent across whatever he had. I want to stop right there. I'm going to pick up verse 24 on Sunday morning, so I've got to finish this tonight. I want to continue in the thought, you're doing too much. Come on, touch somebody, tell them you're doing too much. You may be seated in the presence of God. Thank God for all of you who are here tonight. Amen. I'm going to try to be as didactic as I possibly can, as teachy as I can. I'm grateful to see Cola and her husband here with us tonight. Amen. I'm grateful for them being in town. Amen. We talked last week about appeasement. We dealt with how appeasement begins when there is some type of rift in a relationship. There's a relational rift that somebody has offended you, and so what they typically try to do is they try to send you gifts, or they try to give you money, or they try to wine and dine you. Typically the inference is, I want to play with your emotions instead of saying I'm sorry. We talked about the appeasement piece on last week because we were trying to show us that Jacob is one who has a promise over his life. And what you got to understand, brothers and sisters, is that whenever there is a promise over your life, we discussed last week, you don't have to resort to using fleshly measures to get things done when you got the promise of God. Typically, most of us get into trouble because we talked last week about our character. Character is revealed in the struggles that you go through. Now, typically, brothers and sisters, it's easy for us to put on a church facade in front of you church people. But the essence of my character is, how do I handle myself behind the scenes? Because truth is, most of what we see you do in church is not who you really are. I knew y'all wasn't going to say amen. If we tell the truth, and see, let me say this. The reason why it is hard for the church to grab the world is because the world knows something about us that we haven't faced ourselves, and that is, we have a strong proclivity to be fake. We put on this church facade like everything is okay when it's not. And what the church has programmed us to do is shout about what we won't deal with. So we'll run around the church and we'll do church acrobatics and we'll speak in tongues and we'll do everything they say. If they say leap for joy, we'll leap. They say high five your neighbor. I say it all the time. We high five our neighbor. And there's nothing wrong with that. But here, Sister Gloria, is where I found the tension comes. We jump, we shout, we high five, we spin around, we run around, we sweat, we holler, and we scream. but we don't change. And my issue, brothers and sisters, as I attempt to see us pivot our hearts toward God even the more, we've got to address the fact that we've got a I'm phony issue that we've got to address. Because, see, I can respect you a little better if you tell us the truth about yourself. Amen. I meet you, you shake my hand, and you say to me, I can respect you if you say to me, Pastor, I love the Lord, but every now and then I listen to trap music.
Yeah. Well, come on.
See how y'all start looking? See, y'all act like, now let me tell you, now I'm the pastor, and I'm gonna be honest. You know, Pastor Hines introduced me to this app called Spotify. I'd never heard of Spotify because I always listen to Pandora. Right. So with Spotify, you can make your own playlist. Right. So I'm saved, I'm spiritual. So I got on there and I pulled up all of my favorite gospel artists. Right. Yeah. Made me a whole gospel list. Oh, I jammed that list for days. Right. Sitting in my room one day, and I decided I want to do something a little different. Yeah. Come on. So I created me a secular playlist. Yeah. And I don't know too many secular people, so I'm just adding music. So the other day I was put the secular stuff on. You know, I was driving early in the morning. I put the secular stuff on, and this song by Dave Hollister came on, and I think it's called "Take Care of Home." And I was on Snapchat playing the thing, right? And we got ghetto members here, so one of them hit me up and said, "Oh, that's my jam." David, take care of home, yeah. See, the problem is, y'all run around here acting like you speak in tongues every second of the day. And you in the fit heaven from the moment you get up to the time you go to bed. And you lying. Because let's tell the truth. Some of us still cuss. Come on, free yourself. I mean, every now and then we take a shot of Crown. I'm sorry, Hennessy. See what I'm saying? I know who I pastor. Ciroc, every now and then. And the problem is, y'all, it's hard to compel people with lies. Because then you got to keep up this facade. And see, here's the problem, y'all. Maybe it's just me. I don't want to live two lives. Yeah. Right. As if to suggest because I'm saved, I don't have problems. Yeah. Because what happens is, typically, you forget the lie you told. Amen. Come on, fellas. Now you got to try to make up an alternate one to replace. I don't hear what I'm saying. That's why I understand now why the old folk used to say, if a joker lie, he'll steal. And if he steal, he'll kill. I don't hear what I'm saying. The inference is, brothers and sisters, typically, the reason why I promise you most of us sitting in this room don't really know each other, because we only see the side of you that you portray when you come to church. But here's what I need to tell you tonight. Amen. The real you shows up when trouble comes. Let me go further before I get back in this text. That's why I learned, man, you got to be careful what you say you will never do. Come on. Because you really don't know what you're capable of until you get in certain situations. And if the truth be told, can I prophesy? Feel good. Can I prophesy? Some of us have not really been introduced to the real you. You walk around in your body every day and still don't know who you are. Amen. Now, why do you say that, Kareem? Because I am guilty. There are still facets of myself that I have not discovered. There are still layers of myself that God is stripping off to show. There are some things I look in the mirror and say, I didn't even know you could say that. Boy, y'all don't like the truth. Yeah. Come on. There was a situation happened to me a couple weeks ago, and the way I felt about it, I had never felt like that before. Right. was struggling with a situation from some stuff we were talking about in my seminary class. And I did something I don't normally do. I went and I sat down with my mentor yesterday and I picked his brain. The problem, Sister Gloria, was the conversation revealed something about myself that was a byproduct of the conversation. It wasn't even the origination of the conversation. But I started picking stuff up about myself. And I couldn't sleep. I slept 2 hours last night. I tossed and I tossed and I tossed. I couldn't find the off switch in my brain because that conversation kept talking to me. And while the conversation was talking to me, my spirit started praying. And I started asking God this question: who is Kareem Jackson? No. Outside of what you boogers say. Oh, he can preach. Oh, he can sing. Oh, that's what I do. That's not who I am. The question then becomes for some of us, strip away what people know about you and answer the question, who are you? Because typically, who we are don't show up until calamity strikes. See, there is a Sunday you that you perfected. Oh, you know that you. Because the moment you walk in the door, they say, oh, how you doing? Oh, less than hide the face. Booker, you weren't doing that 5 minutes ago. I know some of y'all drive up jamming Frankie Beverly and Maze until you get in service and switch to Amazing Grace so fast with your funny looking self. And you know, you try to play us. But here's the truth. The truth is, you saved, but you still like a different kind of music. That don't make you sinful. The church told y'all that was going to send you to hell. Come on. You know, I don't even like rap. Come on. But if I had a favorite rap artist, he would be T.I. Come on. Only for this reason. I was listening to one of his songs. Oh, by the way, I put it on my secular playlist. So if y'all ever hear me jamming up the street, T.I. makes this statement in the song. And I don't know the line, but this part of the song I know. He says, you are piss poor morally. I said, I like him. I heard that. I pulled up all his music. See, y'all want to be honest. And I added to my plate. Here's the problem with some of y'all. The problem is you have not been shaped by your calamity. You so busy running from who you really are. And then here's the other thing we got to admit. And everybody in this room, look at me funny if you want to. There is light in you and there's darkness in you. And here's the problem. All of us in here have got to admit you got a Dr. Jekyll and you got a Mr. or Mrs. Hyde. There's another person in you that don't show up. Get mad enough. Speaking tongue right there. Get mad enough. Boy, listen. I had something happen to me about a couple months ago. I don't know who that Kareem Jackson was. I told my wife, I like him. I'm keeping that booger around. You hear what I'm saying? There is a duality in all of us. Now here's the thing. When you don't know who you are, let's be honest tonight. That we streaming on Facebook and everything. We're going to be transparent for Facebook. Let's be honest. Most of us define ourselves based on the environment. Now, I'll be honest. Now, Rodney is my blood cousin. A lot of people don't know that. Rodney is my blood cousin. Now, I didn't know Rodney was my cousin. I didn't even know Rodney until a situation happened in our group. We transitioned. Rodney showed up at practice. My mama Monique said, him on the keyboard, that's your blood. I said, I ain't never met him. He a steward. So she told me his background. We introduced ourselves. I knew his daddy, but I never met him. Ever since then, we've been thick as thieves. Rodney coined the phrase years ago when we first met. And he's held true to that word even today. And that is, blood is thicker than water. So anytime something come up, Rodney always reminds everybody around me, blood is thicker than water. But here's what I discovered by hanging around Rodney. It taught me some stuff about myself. Because inadvertently, I started doing what Rodney would do, because Rodney would do stuff that would rock to me. Like, when Rodney would cut his hair, he would make it look good. I would go cut my hair, just for no reason. I'd be like, you know what? Cut my hair. I did. Rodney shaved his head, I shaved my head. Rodney grew a beard, I grew a beard. Rodney grew his head with the sponge. I said, man, what you doing in your hair? He said, oh, a thing called a sponge. How you do it? He told me, I grew my hair. And then, I'm telling you myself, being honest, I didn't realize it. But when Rodney cut his hair over the summer, I cut my hair. Now he grew his hair back, I'm growing my hair back. And then he think about it till the other day. I was like, you know what? Rodney make a taper look good. Man, I'm going back to my taper. Why? Because sometimes association will reveal things about you that you didn't realize. So when my wife was fussing at me one day because I always wear raggedy shoes, my wife was like, you need to go buy some shoes. I said, all right, I'm going to go to the mall. Never would go. This is how she got me. She called Rodney. And Rodney called me and said, let's go to the mall, go shoe shop. So we go in Foot Locker. I said, Rodney, I like these shoes. Rodney hit me on the hand and say, put them shoes up. Put that junk up, Kareem. Come here. So here's how I got the Foot Locker. The same shoe he bought, I bought. Some Nikes, they were purple, had a little strap. I said, man, they look good. Now, most people say stuff like this. I ain't nobody's clone. But when you never been in an environment with me, you don't know what to expect. Now, here's your problem. You scared to ask people for help. Because we think it's degrading us to step out of the norm and say, I need some help. Here's the problem though. The problem is many of us have beat our brains up because we won't ask help. Because help suggests I am vulnerable in a place. Now, here is the issue tonight that we started with Jacob. Jacob's got a trust problem. So we dealt with the appeasement. So let's get into it. Because what Jacob does, Jacob puts appeasement over his own promise. You taking notes? Write that down. Appeasement over promise. Appeasement over promise. Now, remember we talked about the prayer that Jacob prayed. Jacob prays a prayer about covenant. All right? The prayer was in covenant. The problem was the motivation of the prayer suggested that he was just trying to get out of the situation. So you would think that the prayer with that kind of solid theological foundation would have brought peace to Jacob's heart. But let's look at the text. Jacob is operating in restlessness. So in his restlessness, what does he do? He decides to act. What does he do? He says, I'll pacify Esau. So here's what he does. He puts together an expensive gift. Appeasement. He has 580 animals that he puts together to send to Esau. He divided them into separate herds and commanded the herdsmen to keep a space between each herd so that Esau couldn't help but be impressed with his brother's generosity. Notice the text. Each of the herdsmen was to make the same speech to Esau. They belong, watch the verbiage, to your servant Jacob. They are gifts to my Lord Esau. Jacob is groveling. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Wow. Jacob is groveling to his brother, but he forgot the promise. Wow. Watch this, because I'm going to bust you right in your head. Watch this. God made Jacob Lord over Esau. Go back and read. Because when the turbulence is happening inside of Rachel, watch this.
Come on now.
Which means to me,
Come on.
Jacob, because he negated his promise.
Yeah.
Watch me bust you in the head. Jacob was living beneath his promise.
Come on.
Come here.
Come on. Come on.
Come here. Let me ask you a question. If God made you the head, why in the heck are you acting like the tail?
Hallelujah.
If he made us the lender, why are you always borrowing?
Come on.
You are, no. Most people say, oh, you living beneath your means. No, you are living beneath your promise, because the Bible has given the believer a specific set of promises, benefit package that comes along with our salvation. I got a question for you. Why are you living beneath what God told you you can have? Why are you kissing up to worldly people like they got your favor?
Come on.
Listen, I don't give a nickel's worth of dog meat who your boss is. The Bible says that the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord, and he'll turn it however. What are you saying, Kareem? Whatever God has predestined for your life as a promise, it don't matter what nobody does, they cannot stop God from moving in your life. Okay, let me see if I can modernize, contemporize, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Jacksonize the text. You are kissing unnecessary behind. I said that. You are kissing unnecessary butt cheeks. Because if there is a promise on you, God is operating on behalf of the promise that he made. So why are you tripping over stuff that God already told you he was going to give you? Lord. Touch your neighbor and say, no quick fixes, no quick fixes. Look at this groveling. Now watch this. Jacob discreetly planned to follow behind the last drove, hoping that the combined impact of the gift would impress Esau to forgive him and welcome him when they finally met. So Jacob shows us here, watch this, that you cannot have faith and scheme at the same time. Now, I got a question. I got a real good question. Are you going to trust God or are you going to trust you? Because I'm telling you what you're going to do. You're going to do something stupid to survive. That's what you're going to do. You're going to put your hand on it and you're going to screw it all the way up. Trying to be you. I proved it. Let me ask you a question. How many things have you put your hand on in your flesh and it actually survived? Not too much. Not too much. Here is why. Because whenever there is something written in our lives that is contradistinct to the plan of God for our lives, God is not obligated to follow your plan. Amen. God is only going to stick to plan A. He don't have a plan B. He don't have a plan C. That's you. Well, if this don't work, then I'm going to try this. And if that don't work, I got a plan C. You know why you got all them plans? Because you never got with God to see what plan A was all about. That's number one. Let me give you number two and bust you in your face. When he gave you plan A, it took too long. Because we are, I've been saying, I'm going to keep, we are a microwave-minded generation. I want it now. The commercial said, it's my money. You know what? If it wasn't so many kids in here, I'd really dig into that. Wanting something right now. I'd dig right into that. Because if truth be told, everything we want instant deals with flesh gratification.
Talk about it.
I'll give you a good word. Quickie. You ain't like that, did you? I ain't got time, so I need something instant. You know what we say. I say what we say. I'm married. What we say, it's going to carry me over. Because the inference is, I don't have time to wait. Man, I remember Elder Crowder in your day, they would take time to cook. And then let me tell you how grandma would do it. When grandma was going to cook, Rick, she put that food in the oven. You know, she cut up all the seasoning on the roast. Cut that seasoning up. Season it real good. Saturday, put it in the refrigerator.
Let it marinate.
And let it marinate. And then she knew what time service was going to be on. So she put that food in the oven and put it on low. Because she wasn't trying to rush the food. And you would hear them say stuff like this. I made this with love. You know what the inference was? I took my time to prepare. I don't hear what I'm saying. And see, let me say something. Let me say this. That's why I blame you older women for these young women not being able to cook.
That's right.
I said that. Everything is instant. We're going to have these mothers go the microwave break. I remember a day my grandma would make cornbread from scratch.
Mine still do.
These boogers, I walked in my grandma's house one time, and my mom. I walked in, my mom said, my bird, she said, here, try that. What is this? It looked like ice. She's eating. It was milky, but it was ice. So I put my spoon in. It was smooth. Put my spoon in and ate it. It tastes like ice cream. She go, oh yeah, it's homemade.
Yes, sir. Yes.
See, we don't have time. Man, my grandmother had a garden in our backyard.
Yes, sir.
And we would come over there and she would have green tomatoes sitting on the ledge. And you would come back a few weeks. She kept that same green tomato. She would crack the screen so the sunlight can hit it just right. And you would notice it would turn from green to red. Why? Because she took time. The problem with us is we want God to be like our processed meat. I want it now. I don't want to deal with the process of letting it grow, so I shoot it full of steroids to make it be something. Boy, again, let me go. I'm going back on. I remember they would add milk to eggs to stretch it. Oh man. See, now they have stuff. They got these little microwave bowls that come with the amenities. You crack an egg and put it in there and stir it and put it in the microwave for a minute. And then you pull that nasty looking stuff out, and that's breakfast.
Oh, no, sir.
Breakfast for us started at 6 o'clock in the morning. They would wake you up with the smell of bacon. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Them good mothers wouldn't let you go to school without having breakfast. We rush our kids off to school so they can eat that school crap. And you know, we cutting time. I ain't got time to cook for you. Shaquan is cooking though. She making time. Shaquan, she making time to cook, you know. And then you mad. What you eating? I didn't make that. Yeah, Shaquan made it because you ain't got time. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? And that's the problem. The problem is everything is so quick. Jacob is living beneath his promise. So you can't have faith in the scheme. Now watch this, yo. Watch this. So let's turn the page right quick. I got a few minutes. Turn the page right quick. Because see, before we start judging Jacob, I gotta ask you a question.
Amen.
I gotta ask you a question. How many times has God made us a promise, but we still try to tap our own resources?
Yeah.
God said, no, I got that. I got you. Don't worry about it. All right, God, thank you. Don't worry about it. I got you. All right, God, but it's been 5 minutes.
Not 5 minutes.
You ever seen them people that they plan a crime, take their time to do a crime, they get caught but rushing trying to get bail?
R. Kelly.
Now, Stephen. Well, y'all don't like the truth.
Transparent.
Because what you have to understand, it is true, faith without works is dead. But Jacob's gift was not a work of faith. Watch this. I had to get there so I can get to this point. The devil will fool you and make you think because something is succeeding that is God and it's not. Because I got a question. If what you're doing was based on faith, how come it's not what God said? Because you know, we put God in a whole lot of stuff God ain't in. I remember when I was single. When me and Tiffany got married, we didn't announce it to the world, even though the world found out. Sister hit my inbox one day and said, I had a dream about you. For real. I had a dream about you. And I said, what happened in the dream? I was walking down the aisle and I couldn't see who the man was at the altar. I'm like, man, that's a good dream. But by the time I got there, dude, what happened? It was you.
Oh.
Like, really? No, watch this. I said, really? Yeah, the Lord told me.
What Lord you
That you
serve?
gonna be my husband. I said, really? I said, which God was that? Because the God I served would have told you I was already married.
Right.
Stupid shit.
Ding dong.
I'm just saying, people do the stupidest stuff. And then somebody told me one day, this really blessed me right here. It blessed me hilariously. When somebody said, what? God said, see, you gonna be mine. How you figure? God said he'll give you the desires of your heart. I said, fool. You mean to tell me God is gonna break up a marriage?
A marriage.
So your pillhead self.
A marriage.
And first of all, you don't read the Bible.
Right.
Because the inference is God is going to give your heart what to desire. And the problem is the devil will keep you in lust and make you call it love. That's what's wrong with some of us. That crap wasn't love to begin with.
One love.
It was lust. But lust dressed up as love is deception. Y'all don't hear me? And the devil will keep you deceived. How do you know? A faith move is predicated on something that God told you. Now here's the problem. When you bust a faith move, it's not connected to your senses. You been wondering, I'm waiting on God to send me Boaz. First of all, silly rabbit. Boaz was for Ruth.
Come on. Step.
Not for you. Number 2. The Bible said a man that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. Now watch I bust your theology. You think that everything in God is about you. When the Lord do it, it's going to be saved. Well, hold on. Because when you read the Bible, Paul gives both sides of the coin. He gives you how to deal with a saved and an unsaved spouse. And then says this, if they please you, stay with them. You boogers want to use God to get out of stuff that your flesh got you into. The Lord ain't never told you to marry. That's what you did. Then you want God to give you a reason to get out. God ain't schizophrenic. And that's the other thing I got a problem with. How come God tells you something in January, but by April he told you something different? I don't want to serve that God because he's crazy. That's the same thing these jokers. The Lord told me In 5 minutes, I got to do it in 5 minutes. Here's my second point. First point, appeasement over promise. But here's the second point. Here's the problem. It is an issue of control. Here's the real problem. I told you last week in my close, the problem was not Esau. The problem is Jacob. Because Jacob is dealing with a narcissistic disposition. Now watch this. Most times we think that narcissism is having an inflated ego. But that's not all the time. Because the root of the disorder is actually, watch this, a strict resistance to feeling vulnerable with anyone at any time. Meaning that if you one of them people like me, I'm telling on myself so you can get free. If you are anything like me, you use trust issues to not get naked. So nobody really knows us because we hide behind our trust issues because we don't want to be vulnerable because vulnerability points to trust. But here's what vulnerability says. Vulnerability says that I'm getting naked in front of you to show you the parts of me that I don't want nobody to see. So when I don't want to be vulnerable, what it's saying is I want to hold on to control of my own life. Because if I got control, I ain't got to get naked in front of you. So I'll only reveal the parts of me that I want you to see. But I won't show you the real me. Here's the problem. Most of us trip over control because we don't want people color to know we're not perfect. Everybody in this room is imperfect. So when we start talking about being narcissistic, a narcissist doesn't truly trust others in close relationship. Because the narcissist does not trust others, he or she refuses to put themselves in a position to feel vulnerable. And despite the outward appearance of grandiosity and superiority, the narcissist actually lives in a state of anxiety. The narcissist is always scared. That's why anytime a person comes and says, "Oh, I love you," and kiss you on the cheek, you start backing up talking like, "That's what Jesus did to Jesus." That's your spiritual self. It's the kiss of the enemy. Everybody ain't against you. That's why you notice them people that's scared, you know guilty people. Because if me and Brother Taylor is over in the corner talking and we bust out laughing and Dominic looking at us, the first thing he gonna leave and say, "They was talking about me. I seen him." How you know they were talking about you? Oh, because they were over there in the corner and they both felt like laughing at the same time, looking straight at me. We were looking at the sign behind you. But when you're a narcissist, watch this, you are skeptical of everybody. Now, I love ministry. I love the fact that I have armor bearers and stuff. That's a blessing. But no offense. I don't need 20 niggas coming out the office with me. One got no water, one got no books. I don't need all that. But when you are a person of control, you got to surround yourself so that you can feel big when you're really small.
That's right. Amen.
See, the problem with control is the more I keep it, the more I mess up. And then, here's the problem. Many of us are in such a great state of isolation because we can't fathom letting other people into our world. So that's why when people don't want to show you who they really are, they'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and put their makeup on. TD said something that I laughed. TD said I laughed so hard because he brought something like this up. up, and he talked about, you know, when you learn how to trust and be open, then people will realize, hey man, my morning breath stinks.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you can't kiss me, but kiss me at your own risk. Because until I stumble in the restroom and brush them mugs, breath smell like armpits. I'm just saying. You come in at your own risk. Here's the problem, y'all. People, ooh, there's no, I'm finna get in trouble, but I'm finna go home. I don't care. I slept 2 hours last night. I ain't slept none of y'all. People don't see the warning sign on you.
Wow.
See, you can whine and dine the booger for so long. See, for me, I would get in trouble with Tiffany because we were married when I started bringing flowers. Because see, for me, I wasn't going to do it while we were dating because I didn't know how long it was going to last. No, I'm being honest. I had no idea what people did on Valentine's Day. But I'm telling you what she did to me one year. She sent me on a scavenger hunt. I had never even heard of it. I saw that stuff on TV. Yeah. So she goes, we don't play this game. I'm like, girl, I don't play games. I don't do it. I don't do that. Just play games. Do that. She goes, come on, just please, just do it for me. Oh, okay, all right, man. All right. Well, what I need to do? When you get home, on the bed, it's a note. And the note is going to tell you where to go. Now, already in my mind, I'm like, this is a waste of time. See, it's Valentine's Day, man. We know we go down on Valentine's Day. Why are you sending me on a scavenger? It's only one thing I'm trying to scavenge for.
My God.
I promise I'm going home and take some sleeping pills. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to be good tomorrow. I'm going to be bad tonight. So I went, found this thing, go to Massage Envy on West Highway.
Oh, no.
So I'm looking at this thing, hey, what is this? So I'm reading the card. It's a massage card. Now, here's my other. I don't want nobody putting their hands on me. No, man or woman, I don't care. Yeah, I'm going to take my clothes off so some stranger. No, man, can put their hands on. I call this girl, I say, listen.
This is not gonna work.
She on the phone. I have never had a massage in my life, and I don't feel real big about going somewhere. Kareem, can you please? All right, man. All right. So I go, go in this little room with this. Smelling like cucumbers and vinegar. And the girl walks in and she goes, can you take from the waist up? Now, if you want, you can do. I say, lady, at least warm me up before you try to strip me. She come out with these oils. I said, what is that? We gonna rub you in. Man, that was the worst 45 minutes of my life. That massage hurt so bad. I walked out of there. She called me, to give me the second hit. She go, you enjoyed that? I said, don't you ever in your life see me. I'm miserable. I'm miserable. The massage hurt. Not knowing that when you never had a massage, the first one is going to hurt because they're going to, watch this, they're going to rub painful areas. And the problem with us is we are uncomfortable because we are in situations that hurt. Finish this massage. She sent me somewhere, sent me about 3 other places. Now, the final place was at this nice hotel.
Oh.
I say, now this is what I'm talking about.
Oh my.
I walk in that booger. Like, who are you? I'm Kareem Jackson. Oh, Mr. Jackson, come this way. Hold on, wait a minute. No, give me the key. Tell me where we going. I ain't following you. Mr. Jackson. Lady, I don't know you. Because I don't trust watch this. Here's my point. When you are untrusting, you can never even open up to have fun because it looks suspicious. How many events have you ruined? Because you suspect. It don't smell right. Nothing smell right to you when you don't trust. You think everybody trying to poison your food.
Schizophrenia.
I mean, I love y'all, but even for me, sometimes I go in the kitchen and pass me make a plate. I'm like, who cooked it?
No, that's true.
That's true.
That is true.
No, really, because I got people around here that will honestly say, no, you can't eat it. No, you can't take it. I've gone to churches and they passed Dominic some food. Pastor William gave him some food. And I'm saying, oh, we appreciate y'all. God bless y'all. We get to the cup. I'm like, that's food? No, that ain't food. That's trash, player. Where we going to eat? Because you can't trust everybody's stuff. Now, here's the problem, y'all. Here's Jacob's issue. Jacob does not understand vulnerability. So his narcissistic tendency kicks in. Because here's the other thing for the narcissist. The narcissist fears that acknowledging his weakness will allow people to take advantage of him. Let me get to this last point. Jacob's problem in this text, and I'll close. Jacob's problem is when I meet Esau, I don't know what to expect. Control. Watch this. Let me go further. That's why some of us always want to be a boss, so you can control. Because you can't see yourself being a subordinate. Because the subordinate will suggest that somebody tells me what to do. Here's the problem. Everybody is not qualified to be the CEO. And you cannot get on a job today and be manager tomorrow. Walk in the door prophesying. Increase. Joker. Pay your dues. But control. You ever met them people that they always want to be in leadership? They just can't fathom sitting down. They can't fathom it. Here's why. It's out of their ordinary scope. They get a kick out of telling people what to do. Jacob don't know what to expect. And if I don't know what to expect from you, I don't want to deal with you. But let's tell the truth. When people deal with us, they don't always know what to expect. I'm saying, but some mornings I get up, and the kids, hey, Daddy. Now, you know times are changing because typically in my house, you get up, we get up, depending on the day. Me and KJ get to playing, it be loud. Yeah, we get up, we be loud. Until we get up and grumpy. Now, here's the kick. At night, when we trying to wind down, she's the annoying one. She want to come We're like, dude, why it take you 45 minutes to get in the bed? Man, cut the light off. Then, you say that, she say stuff. Why you being so mean? Now, 6 o'clock in the morning, me and Kareem up wilding out. Yeah, Clarence up. Daddy is out. She come out of the room like Lurch. Looking like somebody beat up with an ugly stick. We turned up at 6 in the morning. Now, about 11 o'clock, her turn on juice is up. Control. You don't know what to expect. And it's easy to keep up a facade for so long. Eventually, something is going to happen to show who you really are. Here's my point. You doing too much when you know God has already promised you a successful outcome, but you still got to put your 2 cents in. I got a question. When are you going to completely take your hands off? Now, here's the truth. We talk about surrender all the time. I'm done, right? You can play me some song. We talk about surrender all the time. But can I tell you something? Most of us are not as surrendered as we should be. Because there's still an area in our lives where it's got to be my way.
Yeah.
My way or the highway. If we don't do it, if I ain't happy, ain't nobody. Bro, let me tell you something. I ain't responsible for your happiness. That's your job. Ain't my job to do everything you want me to do. And we walk around singing anthem. You make me feel like a natural lady. You supposed to be a natural woman before I met you. Boy, y'all don't like it. Ain't my job to make you feel like something you was already supposed to be.
That's what you was created for.
Same thing. We got to give up control. I believe that is an area of our lives that God is coming after. He's coming after the place that you don't want to give up. Somebody lift your hand and say, I have to give up control.
I have to give up control.
Gotta learn how to give up control. Because control will mess you up. Lift your hands, let's pray. Father, we thank you tonight for the word that you have spoken. God, we recognize that there are still areas in our lives that are out of control. God, there are areas in our lives that we have not fully surrendered. And God, we come tonight to ask you to forgive us of our sins. Help us to walk in a place of total surrender. Help us to give up the pieces of our lives that cause us to want to hang on to things that you're trying to take away from us. Pivot our hearts tonight, Father, that we can become everything you have called us to be. We thank you for every person under the sound of my voice. Thank you for every life. Thank you for every person who pressed their way, opened their spirit to receive what you would say to us on tonight. We bless you for it in Jesus' name. Somebody shout amen. Come on, clap your hands and bless the Lord.